So I was watching a MK Ultra documentary about Stanley Kubrick called A Clockwork Shining. I'll put the link in the description. And it's so good, it's so awesome. And then it goes into the Catcher of the Rye because a lot of assassination attempts, these guys had this book on them. Um, and we'll get into that. But the crazy part is I found this essay that was mentioned in the documentary. This guy, Joseph Atwill, he talks about how the whole entire plot structure of The Catcher in the Rye is a Freemasonic ritual initiation, and only Masons know about it. So we think Mark David Chapman, who killed Lennon, he had this book on him. He was literally reading it as the cops pulled up. We believe he was a Freemason who maybe screwed up, and he had to kill John Lennon because literally a couple weeks before John Lennon went on Playboy, 1980, did a interview with Yoko Ono, and he talked about he didn't want to be in the craft anymore. A lot of people think he's just talking about music, but he's talking about Freemasons. So we think Mark David Chapman was assigned to assassinate Lennon because of him spilling secrets. And this book is actually about that. It talks about it at the very end. We'll get into that as well. And we know John Hinckley tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. He was also carrying the book. And some say Lee Harvey Oswald had a copy in his apartment, but that's disputed. But yeah, people think it's a trigger for mind control. Like if you read it, you're just programmed. That's not it. It's just a Freemason 101, okay, book. It literally says, Holden Caulfield says, and they had this goddamn secret fraternity that I was too yellow not to join. Because the whole book's about him flunking out of school. He's 17, and his kind of crazy night, couple days that he had. But we see that it's difficult to decode because the framework that it's based upon, the initiation rites of the Freemasons, are often secret, of course. So that's why normal people, just like the rough, dry, hilarious, sarcastic language, like it's entertaining as heck to read. I just read it a couple days ago because of this documentary and because of this essay specifically. It's about 29 pages, but I'll just do the highlights. So the teacher says we study the Egyptians from November 4th to December 2nd. So the secret fraternity is, of course, the Freemasons, and the 28 days spent studying the Egyptians refers to the period of studying a candidate must spend between the time of his initiation as an entered apprentice to the time he takes the exam to become a second-degree Mason. So it's literally 28 days. And we know Freemason, the rituals come from Egypt. Okay, it's all ancient stuff they've been passing down tens of thousands of years, some say to Atlantis, but they won't admit that. And then Dr. Thurmer pointed out that life is a game with rules, but that he failed the class and stuff, but he's still just talking to his teacher because he respects him. What is symbolically depicted is that Holden failed his second-degree initiation exam for entry into the Freemasons. Now, of course, J.D. Salinger, he worked for the government. He worked with the Nazis in government espionage and stuff like that. So most of these high-ranking military people, they're Freemasons. Look at NASA. It's half Freemasons, half Nazis. Even if they don't say they are. That's the secret. Yeah, Freemasons, some are open about it, but the secret ones are secret ones, but they're still Masons. And then he says, right here, I didn't like hearing him say that. Yeah, I'm mumbly today. Maybe because 5 planets are up in Aquarius. It made me sound dead or something. And the fact that his teacher makes Holden feel dead indicates that Holden has moved on to the 3rd degree of Freemason initiation, in which the candidate is made to imitate the death of Hiram Abiff during his initiation. We all know Hiram Abiff from the Bible. He was a Mason, so the Freemasons always reenact his death during the ritual. Holden finishes his meeting with Spencer by shooting the bull. He's like, let me just shoot some bullshit with you. Okay, and I will cuss throughout this video, so... Oh yeah, and spoiler alerts if you haven't read it. I just read it a couple days ago, so... But the Freemason stuff is so fascinating. It's only like 150 pages or something. It's really good. I'll put a link for free to this essay, of course, and a link to Catcher in the Rye so you don't have to pay. Barnes & Noble's asking like $18 for it, and half-price books didn't have it at all. Must be that good. People keep it. So yeah, this phrase, I shot the bull, it opens a motif that continues throughout the book. Okay, the animals all mean something. And there's even astrology in this, okay? And so he's concerned about the ducks and the fishes. Holden is like, where do the ducks go in Central Park they can't fly south or anything, so where do they go? And the fishes like freeze in the water and they're like preserved. He talks to a taxi driver about this. The taxi driver's like, who cares about the ducks? The fishes, like, who cares? The ducks don't matter, they disappear, whereas the fish are preserved. So we see the ducks represent the outsiders, us non-Masons, and the fish represent the chosen ones. They are preserved by nature or whatever, or so they believe. And as we know, Jesus was the fisher of men. They caught 153 fish in John 21. So yeah, the fish have always represented, and it's the age of Pisces where Jesus was born in. Okay. And then there's this whole thing with Eli's bed, or Ellie's bed. It's a concept that's repeated 3 times. It's like one of his roommates. I went over and laid down on Ellie's bed. Boy, did I feel rotten. Then Ellie's bed. What Salinger is describing, the introduction to the prophetical office, a rite of Freemasonry in which someone's describing lying down in Eli's bed and the light being turned off. This is part of the ritual of the Supreme Order of the Holy Royal Ark. And it's from the Bible, 1 Samuel 3. It says, and it came to pass at that time when Eli was laid down in his place. This is from the Freemason manual. Okay, so J.D. Salinger knows that. So he just has the character that literally has the name Eli, or Ellie. Then, of course, Catcher in the Rye is known for that red, Fargo hat. And he will wear the hat while he's figuratively shooting people. And this does get into, if you tell the secrets, then we'll kill you. Like, it does clearly go into that concept at the end. It says right here, I sort of closed one eye like I was taking aim at it. He says, no, this is a deer shooting hat. He's like, no, this is a people shooting hat. He tells his friend, I shoot people in this hat. He's joking, but he's not. It goes into, and then he closed one eye, which is, of course, the one eye symbolism. Done plenty of videos on that, or just look at the back of your dollar bill. It's it's the eye of, they say it's the eye of Horus, but it's, the eye of Lucifer on top of the unfinished pyramid. They're waiting for that capstone. And then they do a literal reenacting of Hiram Abiff. The initiate is blindfolded, holds his hands of his mentor so they can guide him, and then he's knocked to the ground, imitating the death of their Freemason creator. So he says, he covered his hat, he's just joking with his friend. This is how it's all symbolic. It's like, oh, I'm going blind, I can't see, give me your hand. He's like, Ackley's like, get away from me, dork, you're nuts, I swear to God. And then, so he's blindfolded with his hat. He says, oh, give me your hand. And then he grabs his friend's hand. And then his friend gets pissed and he punches him. I really let one go at me. So he's knocked out, literally. Okay. I read that one. Okay, then this next part. Of course, teens like this. I'm just going to read this. I'm sort of an atheist. I like Jesus and all, but I don't care too much for most of the other stuff in the Bible. Take the disciples, for instance. They annoy the hell out of me. If you want to know the truth, they were all right after Jesus was dead and all, but while he was alive, they were about as much use to him as a hole in the head. All they did was keep letting him down. I like almost anybody in the Bible better than the disciples. If you want to know the truth, the guy I like best in the Bible next to Jesus was that lunatic and all that lived in the tombs and kept cutting himself with stones. I like him 10 times as much as the disciple, that poor bastard. So, cutting himself with stones in Mark 5 and Luke 8, it's referred to as a stonecutter or tekton, the Greek word for a stonemason or Freemason. So once again, the word stonecutter, Freemason, is being tied into these little stories he's talking about and his little rants and opinions. Okay, this is the most important part, guys. Sorry if I'm going fast. Hopefully you've read the book. If not, read it again. And there's an audiobook on YouTube, actually. I'll put that in the description too. And that's rare because I think it's going to get taken down soon, so y'all better read it or listen to it. It really helps if you're kind of wandering and stuff and you have ADHD or whatever. Audiobooks help with the text and the audiobook at the same time. Anyway, so the most important puzzle to solve to understand the real meaning of the Catcher in the Rye, the title of the book, is Caulfield's misunderstanding of the Freemason Robert Burns's poem. And once again, all these Freemasons. Coming through the rye is where he gets it. Caulfield overhears a child singing the song, and here's one version of Burns's poem, Coming Through the Rye, 1796. It says right here, get a body, meet a body, coming through the rye. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can, but that's the important part. That's the above G-rated version. It's clearly discussing a sexual encounter in the tall grass. Said, come through the rye, poor buddy. She dragged her petticoaty. Jenny seldom dry. Okay, like, this is like literally a sex poem. But there's another less well-known version that spells it out. Here's the whorehouse version. Meet a body coming through the rye. Get a body, fuck a body. Need a body, cry. This is 1790. That's the actual version of this poem. So in order to understand which version the child was singing that he's overhearing, because he didn't hear this, he gets the lyrics wrong. We have to see the image right before this poem. It's talking about, there's this record I wanted to get for Phoebe, his little sister, super important. Phoebe means light, we'll get into that, called Little Shirley Beans. And this singer, she sings it very Dixieland and whorehouse, and it doesn't sound all kiddie and mushy. Notice that Little Shirley Beans is for children, but that the singer gives it a whorehouse version of that same song. So this is right before he hears the kids saying catch her or get him in the rye. So this is the framework the author wishes a reader to use in the next paragraph, where we encounter the description of the mysterious catcher in the rye. Holden believes he overhears a child singing, if a body catch a body coming through the rye. This lyric doesn't occur in either version of the Burns song. The phrase is either when a body meet a body or when a body fuck a body, the good and the bad version. It never says if a body catch a body coming through the rye. So he mishears fuck for catch. Holden understands the words of the song in a way which were never written. Okay? And where Caulfield heard catch, the child must have been singing fuck, the dirty version. So Salinger's real title is therefore Fucker in the Rye. Okay? Once again, these Freemasons are really sneaky and sexual. And this describes Caulfield's revelation in the Freemasons' Holy of Holies given below, because they go into, I'll go into that. In other words, the deepest secret of the Freemasonry is fuck you. Like literally, if you're not part of us, fuck you. You're damned. Which appears to be the apocalypse to non-Freemasons and damnation. And death to members that are traitors to the organization. Okay? And then there's the child. The child who is singing the song is walking a straight line, something that children seldom do, but is a requirement within Freemason lodges. He was making out like he was walking in a very straight line. It says he was singing that song, if a body catch a body coming through the rye. And then, following his counter with that singing child, who mishears it, Caulfield comes to a museum which he cannot enter. He walks by it in the book. This is because the museum represents a Freemason temple with its Holy of Holies. Caulfield cannot go in because he does not yet have the correct information that he would need to possess the level that permits a Freemason to learn its deepest secret. He doesn't know the code yet. In the story, it's like, oh, it's just a museum, but no, it represents a Mason temple that he does go into later once he gains this knowledge. And here's the most obvious thing for any skeptic out there who thinks this is just nonsense. There's literally a story about Al Pike. And who's Al Pike? Albert Pike, the most infamous American Freemason. And he talks about how cocky he is. It's kind of like an inside joke for Masons because everyone knows Albert Pike. We know, we've talked about him. He's the one who says Lucifer is God, stuff like that. And then he writes, this is an example of Pike's writing, and he's making fun of blue masonry, and he says it's dumb. Never were any pretenses to the possession of mysterious knowledge so baseless and so absurd as those of the Blue and Royal Ark chapter degrees, Albert Pike. And then Salinger in the book is a satirical depiction of Pike. She was dating this terrible guy, Al Pike, that went to Kuwait. I don't know how to pronounce that. I asked her how come she could date a show-off bastard like Al Pike. And everyone knows they're referring to Albert Pike, like the most famous Freemason, other than Mark Twain, who we will also get into later. And then he says a lot that this kills me. When he's laughing, you know how people say, I'm dead, instead of actually just laughing. He comes up with this term, that just killed me every time I heard that or something. He says it a lot, creepy. And his sister Phoebe, which means radiant, bright, and prophetic, she's like his only friend. He hates the whole world, he hates his parents, but he likes his little sister. Because she's really smart. He sees her notebook, and it has some cryptic writing on it, because she's still asleep. The writing symbolically depicts the Freemasons' understanding of the Book of Revelation. Now stick with me. And the writing indicates that she has something important to tell Bernice, like it's her little notes, her diary. who was mentioned earlier in Catcher as the blonde dancer and witch who objected to Caulfield's self-description as a type Jesus. We'll get in. I won't do that. Y'all can read the whole essay. The message is, surely you said you were Sagittarius, but you're only Taurus. I was like, oh, cool, astrology. But it's crazy. Like, surely you can't be serious from Airplane. It's from this as well. And so they say, surely you said you're this, but you're that. And it's funny because they said she won the spelling bee, but she's misspelling Shirley. I don't know if she's doing it on purpose. She's misspelling Sagittarius and your. It should be your with R-E at the end with an apostrophe. Anyway, but these aren't literal. She's not saying your birthday sucks. It's symbolic. That is, surely, a pun on Shirley, the founders of Christianity claimed to be Sagittarius, which I have heard, often identified as the white horse of Revelation, representing Jesus, but which I have shown in Shakespeare's Secret Messiah, another book I got to read, is Archippus, the symbol of the Roman Emperor Domitian. However, they were only Taurus, or bull. So, Phoebe is interpreting the conclusion to the book of Revelation as disclosing that the Roman imperial invention, Christianity, Sagittarius, is only bull, or Taurus, the bull, like bullshit, and is going to be shot or brought to an end. So remember when they said, I'm going to shoot the bull with him? We think it means shoot the bullshit. But he's saying that the Freemasons created the Roman imperial invasion, Flavian Christianity, is what the Freemasons created to deceive millions of people. And what does my channel talk about all the time? Fake Christianity, and how the churches are just totally deceived and they don't know anything. Anyway, this book goes into the death of Christianity with using these symbols. Surely you said you're Sagittarius, like a real Roman Christian BS, but you're only Taurus, you're only bull. Shooting the bull, okay? And that's the end scene when she runs to the carousel. Almost done, guys. This is the classic first edition cover. There's the carousel again, the horseman, which we just talked about. And we'll talk about it again. So yeah, this is what his sister keeps telling him after he flunked out. Daddy's gonna kill you. So because he's expelled from school. And this is where he mentions he just hated the guys, he hated the people. There was this goddamn secret fraternity there. And they just picked who they wanted. And so Salinger then describes the Messianic Roman Christian lineage that the Freemasons will end in the next part, and that Caulfield will emerge from, in the story of James Castle, JC, Jesus Christ. Once again, all these names are symbolic of much greater things, much bigger things than us. And when he's naming out the names of his classmates, the names before Castle, James Castle, and Caulfield, Holden Caulfield, the guy, is Cable. And they're punning the words cabal, or the two cabals. See right here. Right here, he's talking about, all I knew about him was that his name was always right ahead of me at roll call. Cable R, Cable W, James Castle, Holden Caulfield. See, you know how they call you out? But yeah, he's talking about the James Castle here. And then the two cables are the two cabals, being referenced as Roman Christianity and its replacement secret organization, the Freemasons, the two cabals. The fake Christianity and the Freemasons who don't like it. Even though they created it, they know it's fake. Anyway, that's the part where they mentioned JC, James Castle, representing Jesus Christ. And they threw this guy out the window, and he fell and died in the story. Like, they're like, poor James Castle. Then the teacher, Dr. Antolini, comes and picks him up. And Holden is remembering this. James Castle, but what it means is James Castle would not renounce his effrontery to Freemason, or that goddamn secret fraternity, even under torture, which plays off in the silence under the torture of Christ in the Gospels. In other words, Salinger is reversing the events of the Gospels. In his version, in Catcher in the Rye, the Freemasons execute the false Messiah of Christianity, which prepares the way for the return of the different line, or Antolini. And Antolini, Dr. Antolini, is the one who picked JC up and carried his dead body. It's all symbolic, guys. It's not just random people like, why does this even happen? Because it's something we aren't privy to until you have awesome essays like this. This was written in 2015, by the way. Just a heads up. This guy has some interviews on YouTube, too. And I'll post some of those in the description as well. And then Caulfield then describes his misunderstanding of Burns' song, that Freemason Robert Burns' song, to his sister. He's like, I was thinking of this song. He envisions a future where he attempts to help children who are for some reason jumping off a cliff. Phoebe repeats the warning that Daddy's going to kill you, like she's not listening. We've already been told that Caulfield's daddy has secrets. In other words, that Daddy is a Freemason. Like his own dad is part of the goddamn secret organization that he's been talking smack about the whole book. He says, you know what I'd like to be? I mean, if I had my goddamn choice? What? Stop swearing. You know that song, If a Body Catch a Body Coming Through the Rye? I'd like, it's if a body meet a body coming through the rye, old Phoebe said. You like my little girl voice? It's a poem by Robert Burns. I know it's a poem by Robert Burns. She was right, though. Oh, you know you're in Texas when monster trucks waking you up. She was right, though. It is if a body meet a body coming through the rye. I didn't know it then, though. I thought it was if a body catch a body, I said. Anyway, I keep picturing all these little kids playing some game in this big field of rye and all. Thousands of little kids, and nobody's around. Nobody big, I mean, except me. And I'm standing on the edge of some crazy cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going. I have to come out from somewhere and catch them. That's all I want to do all day. I'd just be the catcher in the rye and all. I know it's crazy, but it's the only thing I'd really like to be. I know it's crazy. So he has this like fantasy of helping little kids not fall off a cliff because he's misunderstood a children's song as a kid walks by him. And then the final lesson is to be given to him by Mr. Antolini. Antolini means different line, like a different lineage, and indicates a different messianic lineage than that of the Roman Messiah represented by Castle, James Castle. Antolini picks up Jesus Christ, James Castle, and helps him because it represents him taking the messianic line. And Antolini is, of course, a high-level Freemason. He calls up his teachers, like, hey, you want to hang out? He said, he's like, oh, you flunked out. He said, good God, to the kid, Holden. Good God is another invocation of Holden Caulfield's role in the story as a Messiah figure. And Antolini reprises the role of Joseph Bar Matthias, Joseph of Arimathea, in the Gospels, carrying the dead body of false Roman Messiah, James Castle, J.C., what the Roman Empire created, which this same author goes into in his book, Caesar's Messiah. See how everything's connected? You know, he's probably right. And my whole channel is about finding the true Christianity or the true religion that these Freemasons are hiding. And then the teacher says to him, it's like, I don't want to scare you, but I can very clearly see you dying nobly, one way or another, for some highly unworthy cause. Antolini could hardly make this threat more clear. If Holden Caulfield quits the secret fraternity, he will die for a cause, that is Christianity, that Antolini believes is worthless. And then he's like, let me write something down from you. Here's what it said. The mark of an immature man is that he wants to die nobly for a cause, while the mark of a mature man is that he wants to live humbly for one. And so the advice he gives him is that from now on, you must live humbly for a cause. That is, you must live with the secret and without revealing its purpose. Since I didn't join Masons or anything, I love revealing secrets. But since I didn't join, I guess, I don't know. I really don't know what they think of my channel. They just let me do my thing because I'm not that popular. I don't even have 10,000 subscribers. And now that he's passed the levels, he receives the blessing from Antolini's hand. Because in the book, Holden is sleeping on the teacher's couch because he's really tired, and his wife and him are asleep in the other room. But then he wakes up and the guy has his hand on his head, like petting him. And Holden's like, whoa, you perv, get away. And then he leaves. But that's also symbolic, once again, because it's never explained in the book, it just happens. But this is why it happened, because he received the blessing from the Master Mason Antolini's hand. That's all it means. It's all symbolic of the Freemason rituals. And then as he leaves his house, Antolini's house, Caulfield is shaken by a repeated curse of fuck you. It's like written on the walls. Like I said, he wanted to see his sister at school, but someone wrote fuck you on the walls. And he's like, oh, these kids have to look at that. And then he went down a different staircase and saw another fuck you on the wall. And he tried to rub it off. And people are like, why did this happen? Well, because it's Belshazzar. It's the warning that God gave him in Daniel 5:26. He gave him 3 warnings, said, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. And then he said, thou art weighed in the balance and art found wanting. It's like, there's the 3rd warning. Thy kingdom is divided and given to Medes and Persians. And then the 3rd warning we'll get into at the end. And then while he's waiting for his sister, these 2 little kids say, they're actually say they're 2 brothers. It's like, oh, he's my brother. And what are Freemasons? They're brothers. They accompany Caulfield to the Holy of Holies, or a pharaoh's tomb, because he finally is going to the museum. He's gaining knowledge, and he finally got into the museum. He's like, hey, you want to see mummies? I said, yeah. Can't your friend talk? I said, he ain't my friend, he's my brother. Anyway, they want to see mummies, which is the Freemasonic temple, and this all goes back to Egypt. Okay? And then they went down a very narrow hall to Pharaoh's tomb, and then these 2 hotshots I was with weren't enjoying it, the 2 little kids. Hotshots is a phrase that he used with the previous teachers, like, I don't want to be with those hotshots, they're all fake and phony. But the teacher's like, well, join the club or don't. Okay? As he leaves the tomb, Caulfield again encounters the secret knowledge fuck you for the 3rd time. It says another fuck you was written on the left of the tomb, or right under the glass part of the wall under the stones. And so that fuck you that these Freemasons are saying is an oath taken unto the death, and it will be on their gravestones, like it's on this pharaoh's mummy's gravestone. And notice that there's no place on earth no one can escape this curse. Caulfield's like, you can't ever find a place that's nice and peaceful, because there isn't any. You may think there is, but once you get there, when you're not looking, somebody will sneak up and write fuck you right under your nose. And then Holden passes out, which of course is symbolic. It may be alluding to some state a Mason enters into after the secret knowledge is given, or a fear of punishment for revealing the secrets. They're in a mummy's tomb, and then he passes out, and then he's with the brothers, but they're not ready yet. It's all there, and it all makes so much sense. And I'm lucky, because most people read this when they're 16. I'm 38. And so I'm already into this. I find it through secret ways. I was like, oh, Catcher in the Rye, whatever. It's that weird book assassins have. I was always interested in it, but now this makes sense. Caulfield finally agrees to come home because he's like scared of confronting his dad about dropping out, and which means he'll mend fences with his father and his secret fraternity. And now he has ultimate knowledge, and at the same time he's resigned himself to his role and his place in life as a Freemason. He no longer wishes to catch the children and save them. Rather, he's the fucker in the rye who lets them fall. Because he's wearing his shooting hat and is presumably now shooting the bull, that is Christianity, deliriously happy as he's soaked by falling rain. The horses on the merry-go-round, that his little sister goes on, symbolize the 4 horsemen who ride at the apocalypse. And the smoke in your eyes right here, they're playing a song, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, is the smoke from Caulfield's symbolic rifle. Or is it a real rifle? Caulfield's sanity and his grip on reality seem fragile. Okay, and then she gets on the carousel and the horse, and they hear the song Smoke. So this is like, it kind of feels like programming, but you'll see. You'll see. 2 more. The very last lines of the book, so spoiler alert once again. Okay, it says, don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody. Salinger already indicated the fate that may be coming to Stradlater, Ackley, and Maurice, his roommates and friends, and his hostility towards them. He says, it drives me crazy. If I had to be in the army and be with a bunch of guys like Ackley, Stradlater, and old Maurice all the time, marching and all, it'd drive me crazy. And then I'm sort of glad they got me. And he said, I swear if there's ever another war, they better just take me out and stick me in front of a firing squad. I wouldn't object. Anyway, I'm sort of glad they got the atomic bomb invented. If there's another war, I'm going to sit right the hell on top of it. I'll volunteer for it. I swear to God I will. He has a desire to ride the atomic bomb, just like in Dr. Strangelove, made 1968, or no, 64, I think. Sorry. And this book was 1951. And The Shining has Wendy reading this book, Catcher in the Rye. So The Catcher in the Rye talks about riding the atom bomb, and at the end of Dr. Strangelove, the guy rides the atom bomb. And what's my favorite band? The Mars Volta. What was their off band? Anti-Mask. Both Omar and Cedric. And Anti-Mask, great. They only did 1 album. Well, 2 if you count the live show. And the live shows, the second album is supposed to be called Saddle on the Atom Bomb. Okay, which is from Dr. Strangelove, of course, but it's also now from The Catcher in the Rye that I just learned this week. Small world, guys. Everything's connected, okay? And these guys know it. Last part. The line, don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody, implies that high-level Freemasons must maintain the order's secrets, or they'll start missing everybody, aka be killed. Sorry, burped right at the scary part. So don't tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody, because they'll kill your friends and you and your family. Scary stuff. This line is why the book was present at so many assassinations, to remind those who have sworn the oath to remain silent or be killed. So this truly implies Mark David Chapman was a Mason. He screwed up and then he was ordered to kill John Lennon, who previously, like a couple weeks before, said, Lennon, I don't want to be in the craft anymore. It's like, oh, okay, bye. Okay, crazy stuff. And then Salinger's warning repeats the one given by another Freemason, Mark Twain, at the conclusion of Tom Sawyer. That's the last page, guys. When are you going to start the gang and turn robbers? Oh, right off. We'll get the boys together and have the initiation tonight. Have the which? Have the initiation. What's that? It's to swear to stand by one another and never tell the gang's secrets, even if you're chopped all to flinders, and kill anybody and all his family that hurts one of the gang. So even Mark Twain in his little kid story is talking about initiation and joining a society, and if you tell the secrets, you're going to get killed. You know, these Masons are not joking around. All this famous stuff that's constantly being pushed in pop culture, there's something about it it's a hidden message for those in the know. And I'm glad y'all sat through that. Thank you so much. Yeah, y'all take it easy. Smart AI art. And yeah, I did. I post some videos about this. It talks about The Shining. This is the documentary about MK Ultra, and mentions Catcher in the Rye, this author that we just read. Thanks again, Joseph Atwill. It's free online, so it's not too much of a copyright or anything. Yeah, I'll post the videos and all that stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'm sure y'all want to pick it up and read it again, because I actually read it online for free, but now I want a physical copy so I can write all over it and stuff, like I did with this essay. Okay, enough rambling. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day, and stay warm.